Welcome to the Manager Matt podcast show. The show is designed to give you solutions to your day-to-day management and leadership problems. It's hosted by Matthew Haddock, a frontline manager and leader with over 25 years of experience. If you're ready, then let's get on with the show.
Have you ever had the 4 dreaded words at work? It's not my job. I know I have. This week's show examines how you can work to make sure those words are not something you hear. Right, without any more delay, let's get on with this week's show. Welcome to the Manager Matt podcast show. I do hope you are doing well and delivering results through your team. One thing before we go further on, I'd just like to thank every single one of you for downloading and listening to this podcast. It's amazing how many people have done it this year, how many people have taken the time to listen to me, and I really do appreciate every single one of you. But I'm going to ask a favour, and I know you guys will hear this all the time on everything, if it's from a podcast, a YouTube, a TikTok, an Instagram. But if you could, please subscribe to the show. And, I also go that a little bit further. Could you just share it? If you could just share it with one person who you think could get benefit out of it, it'd be great for me and it'd be great for them, because the whole ethos of this show was to help people get better at being leaders and managers. And the more people who listen, the more people who take it on board, the more people become part of this community. I'm only one person. I'm trying my best, but it'd be great if you could be part of it and just share it along. Just share it with your family, your friends. Like, subscribe, all those things. I know you hear it a lot, but it just really would make a difference to me and to the managers who might not have heard. So that's that piece out the way. At work, you may have heard those dreaded 4 words. It's not my job. And it sends shivers down my spine just hearing them now, because it brings back the memories of those people, and I can see the faces of them now who've said it. Oh, it's not my job. Oh, I don't get paid to do this. That's not what I'm here for. It's amazing. I even heard it way back when we had a temporary agency worker on site, and I may have told this tale before. And everyone were getting involved. There'd been a spillage. We had to get the place cleaned up. And, all right, come on, we need to get in there. Let's get mucking in. Let's get it sorted out. And I sort of turned to this person who worked on the agency, sort of temporary labour, and said, oh, quick, grab that bush. We need to sweep up. Oh, well, I'm not here to sweep up. Turn away, what? No, it's not my job to sweep up. I want employed to do that. And we're like, well, we really do need that thing doing now. So no, it's not what I do. I'm doing something else. And it was like, wow. I mean, that person didn't come back the day after, not being big-headed or nasty, but if they weren't going to be part of the team and they could see what mess we were in, they weren't the people that you want around you. Now, I'm not saying you're going to get rid of everyone who says it's not my job. And I'm sure yourself, you'll have those moments where you go, oh, really? Is this my job? Is this what it's come down to? But how do you deal with that? It's not my job, or it's not for me. I don't want to do that. Well, firstly, you need to understand that certain people will come at it from a roles and responsibility. They will very much understand that this is what they do. So if you're in technical, engineering, supply chain, procurement, you'll know what your jobs are. And majority of the time, those jobs you'll be doing, 95% of the time you'll be doing it. When you get asked to do something a little bit different, then it can challenge you. Sometimes it's an ego and an arrogance. If you're a skilled person and you're given a brush, you can be big-headed. And I am from an engineering background, so I know. You might think, well, I've not done 4 years worth of training and a 5-year apprentice to sweep up. Although most of the time your apprentices start with the first year of sweeping up, but that's a different story. But in their head, they think they're better or should be employed in a different way. You can get people who have avoided work for many years, and sometimes you don't really know what they do. So when they go, that's not my job, you sometimes want to think, well, in the back of your head you think, well, what job do you actually do? Because I hear a lot of people, I had a technical person once, going back a bit, and she reeled off all the different areas that she didn't do. I don't get involved in this, and I'd go, and somebody else does that, and someone else does that. And I felt like saying to her, well, what job do you actually do? In fact, I did speak to a boss and asked her that, and she agreed that the work that she was doing wasn't what she should have been doing. And that's a way where you get people who are really just defensive. So they're just totally defensive about what they feel their little fiefdonism. I think we all do this. We all migrate to the things that we like to do, the things that we're good at doing. So throughout your career, even throughout your life, you're told, oh, you're really good at this. So you always gravitate to doing that. Those are the things you're good at. I like to speak. I like to talk in public. I like to do speeches. It's not everyone's bag, but I quite enjoy it. So if that opportunity comes up, then I'll be the first one there because I know it. Now, if it's doing a process map or working through it, I can do that. I know how to do it. Been trained how to do it, but it don't float my boat. So sometimes I know you get a lot of people who'll say it's not my job, and the real reason is they don't want to do that because they feel that I've got better things to do, or they don't want to do it. You can get the people, as I say, who just don't do anything, and it's just a way of avoiding work. But really, when you hear those words, you need to be challenging yourself. And I know that sounds a bit strange, but everything I've done on this cast is about looking at yourself first. So I'm giving this person a task and they're saying it's not their job. Why do they not think it's that job? Now, you could jump down the, I've told you to do it. Go get it done. Positional power's there, especially if it is there. You know, if you're the manager, you have a reasonable request, little, tool in your toolbox. It's a reasonable request. Most contracts will say you will do everything apart, as long as it's a reasonable request. And the jobs that I'm hoping that you're asking these people to do will be reasonable. It'll be sweeping this up, fetching this report, doing something a bit extra that you might need to do, and you do need to do it urgently. So you will get that kind of a feeling there. People will be pushing back on the case of, this isn't really what I should be doing. This is not where I should be. But you've got to kind of look at yourself and go, well, have I explained properly with these people why it's important that this thing gets done? So you can jump down there, just get it done. And if the place is on fire or flooding or people are, in a dangerous situation, then, yeah, obviously just get it done, get out of the way. I don't care whose job it is, do it. But majority of times that's not the case. It's a case of, can this be done? Who can do it? I know we're short staffed is a good example. So we're short staffed for whatever reason. The agency haven't turned in, or the process that you thought would have been finished has taken longer, so you've got this gap. And you've got people in another area who are waiting. So prime example is warehousing. You've got warehouse people waiting to receive the goods from the production. Production's behind, the warehouse is waiting. They're not doing anything. It's reasonable to ask the warehouse to come and help the production. Obviously, there's going to be training and safety concerns, but if there's some simple tasks that can free off skilled people to do other things, and the warehouse staff in this example can do it, then I think that's a reasonable request to do it. But you need to explain to them why. You can say to them exactly what I've just said then. Look, we've got an issue here. We need to get this stuff out the door. If not, we're going to miss our targets, and that target means that all of us are going to suffer, because that means we're not going to get that business. If we don't get that business, that means that person might be less likely to order in the future. Less likely to order in the future means less work. Less work means less people. Less people may mean that you're not going to be there. That's an extreme, but realistically, you're going to be saying, look, we need to deliver what we said we were going to deliver. We've all signed up to this. We're not going to ask you to do anything that's outside your skills or physicality. I need you to come and do this. Can you come and do this? You're explaining it in a slightly different way. You can get some more pushback. You might get one or two who just going, no, I can't, I'm too busy. Well, just at this time, I need you to stop what you're doing there, because I've deemed through your leadership that this is more important than what you're doing now. And you might get people pushing back again. And then that's the point where you may have to roll out the, look, this is a reasonable request. I need you to put down what you're doing now. I need you to come over here. It's only going to be for X amount of time. It's not a permanent switch. We just need this stuff doing. Can you make that happen? And of course, the nuclear option there is the person refuses to do that. And you might look at the fact that there's more of a formal route that you can follow. A lot of businesses do have that as an option. It's very, very rare that would be used. But if you got to that point that people are refusing to do it and you need to get it done, then you would have that option. So, that's not my job. It sounds very no, that's not my job. I'm definitely not going to do it. But actually, when you start talking about it and you start talking to the individuals and you talk to them through why you need to do it, then you are at a point where you get the things done. And that's what's really important. Getting the stuff done when you need to do it. Because the last thing you need is to miss the deadline. Now, if you push this all the time, it's like anything else. If you're going to be saying to them all the time, you're going to be needed here, I need you there, I need you there, it's a different thing. that's when you really need to look at in our example of the warehousing being used to prop up production, if it's happening all the time, there's probably something amiss. And that's where you need to look at your manning situation. You need to look at your priorities. You need to look at where you've got your blind spots or your weak spots that are going to be the bottlenecks, and seeing if you've really got that right. Because if you are pulling those people and asking them to do these jobs, then either they can do that all the time, it becomes part of their roles and responsibilities, and you look at the job descriptions and changing that, or actually you are short in certain areas, or you've got reliability issues on your machines. Because if you're asking people to do it all the time, then that's when you really need to look at restructuring in some ways. Now, outside of an operational front, if you look at sort of an office, there may be times in certain situations you might ask them to do it. So festively, so when I'm recording this, we're in the middle of December, it's coming up to Christmas. A lot of businesses will be at full production, readying to get the Christmas stuff out for that week that runs up into the festive period. A lot of times places are shut, so they might be putting stock down. And this is where I've seen office workers or people in the different sort of support functions being asked to come down and do things on the production, for instance, or do something in the stores when I work for a big supermarket, because that's when you need that work being done at the time. You can't miss in retail their opportunity. You've got to get it out the door in that time frame. If they're not on the shelves, they can't sell it, they'll go somewhere else. The customer will go and spend their money. And you can't get Christmas over again. You can't say, well, let's just do it for the week after Christmas, because nobody wants turkeys and pigs in blankets and Christmas pudding in the new year. So that is a great example of where you ask people, or it can actually be in the contracts that so many weeks of your working year will be in a certain different area. And it comes back to the contracts of being able to be flexible at work, reasonable requests. But most people understand that. You especially if you're in a retail industry that works towards Christmas, which is especially around food areas like the supermarkets, they understand the why is there for them. They know they've got to get the stuff out. So, and actually a lot of them enjoyed it because it's a break. They're getting away from the normal environment. They're going into a different sort of place. They're getting to see other people. And a lot of time they're getting to see the stuff that they've done all year working on, the produce, if it's produce, that's out there. So that's another example of it where, now I can't remember anyone pushing back and going, it's not my job there. I think they've really enjoyed it and it became part of it. But if you did it every week, again, back to my point, it's not the same. That's when you will get pushed back. Now, it's not my job. As I said earlier, is a very irritating word. It does make you squeal. But remember, there is a reason why that person is saying that. And that's predominantly down to you as the leader to explain the situation, make it clear to them why it's important that they do that certain role, make sure that that role doesn't become permanently their job, because that's really not what you want them to do, because if you've put them in a certain position, and making sure that they actually feel part of the process and actually adding value. So when you are giving out these tasks, be careful not to give them all the very, very low-end tasks, because obviously that will sort of discourage them for pushing themselves forward. So give them a chance. Sometimes you come out of this, as the example of the festive workers, and they actually enjoy it a lot. And if you can use that strength, multitasking and multi-skilling your departments makes a massive difference to the overall flow and work that can get done. And some work that I really want you to do this week is to send me a question. Yes, just a simple question this week. I've talked about feedback before, and that's lovely to have, but I just want you to send me a question, any question, to managermattpodcast@gmail.com. That's managermattpodcast@gmail.com. A simple question around anything management and leadership, and I will promise to answer it as soon as I get it directly to you, and I will also include it in one of our Q&A session questions, which will come up in the next few podcasts. Well, that's it for Manager Matt this week. Thank you so much for listening, and goodbye.
Thank you so much for listening to this Manager Matt podcast. We hope you found it interesting, helpful and actionable. One last thing, please leave a quick review on iTunes or with your podcast provider, as it helps to spread the word of Manager Matt. If you haven't already done so, please subscribe to the podcast, and if you did like anything in particular, send an email to managermattpodcast@gmail.com or visit managermatt.co.uk for more content. Feedback is a gift, so let's keep giving. See you next week.